Welcome to the Long Range Pursuit Podcast, presented by Gunwerks, where we learn about and share long-range shooting techniques, science, and gear.
Hey everybody, I'm Jim Saubier here, product manager here at Gunwerks, pretty new. Certainly my first effort at a Skunkwerks project. And here with me today, I've got Aaron, who is key instigator in this project. So yeah, we're gonna dig in a little today and talk about this Skunkwerks the Accountant, which is a really cool project that we've worked on over the last several months, and really excited how it's going.
Well, Jim, since you are new at Gunwerks, you're not new to product management, but you're new at Gunwerks. Maybe we could spend just a few minutes talking about the Skunkwerks program in general, and maybe kind of get into the big why behind Skunkwerks.
Yeah.
And then we can roll that right into, why the accountant, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And I always talked about the story of getting the project done, because there's always
Me too.
There's always crazy stuff that happens trying to put one of these together. But
I love it.
That sound like a good program?
It does. And so coming on board and really getting immersed in our product line, and then the bogey of, hey, we're going to do a Skunkwerks, totally outside of what we normally do.
Yeah. It's funny, I would like to do one every year, but after going through this, and this was about as simple a project as we've put together on a Skunkwerks before, and it wasn't easy to get done.
No.
You can see why every once in a while we
Take a break.
Yeah, we skip a year or two, but it is a challenge to come up with a concept sometimes.
Yeah.
And then obviously lining up resources to get it done. That's sometimes is a challenge as well.
And I think that's a perfect scenario where doing it on a calendar basis is really challenging, and it maybe forces things into a place where they wouldn't or maybe go. And this one came to you, right? It was an epiphany, and it happened so quickly that it just made sense, right? And then how it played out and how it came together, it was versus we're going to have a March or a May, or it was kind of special. It could happen at any moment.
Yeah, and usually, so dive back into Skunkwerks a little bit. I want to come back and touch on that.
Yeah,
and I want to talk about a folding chassis, right?
Yep.
Because the accountant's not a folding chassis, but I want to talk about that because it's appropriate.
Very important.
But if you look at why the Skunkwerks program, I kind of feel like you almost got to go way back and look at kind of our first dabble. We called it a co-pilot, and it was a collective effort between our brand and several other brands to build this cool gun. And there was a real reason behind it, and that was our operations guy at the time had all of his kids were kind of getting to that age where they could almost start shooting a big rifle, but they couldn't fit a big rifle. They could shoot it, but they couldn't fit it. And so he starts kind of getting into this, oh man, I want a gun that I can, adjust, like a bolt rifle, not an AR, but a bolt rifle that I can adjust for my son and then for myself. And then in that kind of that mission, he kind of stumbled onto, a new project that Manners was doing that wasn't out yet, that has this adjustable buttstock. Right. And then his juices start going, and he's like, okay, well, we'll go here. And we put all these brands together and made this really cool product, which we kind of pitched as like the OG truck gun. Mm-hmm. But the real underlying story behind that was he wanted this really adaptable gun that could get his kids started shooting a big rifle. And if you look at every single one of the Skunkwerks project, there's some type of a hook there, whether it was, we did one called the Fire Starter, where we were trying to put together like a turnkey kit. So if somebody wanted to go do some competitions, here's a kit that you could just buy to go set up and run it. And Vortex and MPA and Hornady, and it was a really nice kit for like pretty low cost. I believe it was sub $5,000.
Yeah.
And then you can go all the way to the other end of the spectrum where we took our climber rifle system and said, how light could we actually make this?
Yeah.
And we went in and re-engineered every single part, from the bolt and the bolt stop and the action body and scope rings, bedding block, even the rifle stock itself with new carbon fiber, new layup methodologies, and just trying to minimize that and to bring that weight down. And we called that one the cut because that was the project. And we bit off a lot on that one. There was a lot more work there than what we had meant to do.
Yeah.
But every single one of those Skunkwerks projects has a real drive behind it to develop a new technology. Like the cut, that barrel contour we developed there ended up a standard thing on the climber. And, that's kind of like the core is like, hey, is there something new we can learn here or to build or to create like a mission specific system like the track where we went and got an awesome e-bike, backpack system, rifle system, and put this whole kit together to like get to the backcountry with the lightest possible, simplest kit and be successful in a hunt. So that one was a big project in kind of the ideation and conceptualization of that system and kit.
Yeah.
And it gets you thinking. It gets your juices working on, product roadmap and ideas, and also gives you a chance to get a feel for what your customers are finding interesting.
Yeah.
And what they don't.
Yeah. And this project is very different, right? And I think they all kind of have, their different positioning, or the why behind them is a little different for each. And this one certainly has its own why.
So I'll tell you kind of where this inspiration comes from. So coming back to that idea, so we're doing a new rifle product engineering project right now that you're involved in it. That is an aluminum chassis where we've reimagined, how a user should use an interface with an aluminum chassis. This project's not chasing a lightweight. It's more chasing a different method of construction, different materials, etc. And what we wanted to do is not give up all the good things that we get out of a traditional rifle stock design. So we've built this crazy hinge mechanism that's been just a massive part of the engineering effort. I mean, we're into that thing 1,500 hours, like that project right now. And we've been working on this folding mechanism and a hinge catch and all this. And then you back into, I've got one of all the cool, chassis that are out there. I love collecting, nice products that other companies make.
Sure.
And all this whole compact rifle, compact stock thing is very interesting, but the folding hinge isn't compact.
No.
Like it takes space to run.
Doubles the width.
Yeah, it really does. And so whether it's for, how small the package gets, or in what type of situations can you, deploy it. And so that's kind of where this thought came from is in this product development or product concept idea, I went down a rabbit hole of, different collapsible or folding stock mechanisms and ended up with this telescoping buttstock.
Mm-hmm. And
then that got the juices flowing and really got excited about putting together a little kit on that platform.
Yeah. And it is like when we set out with like the brief, was very prescriptive. It had to fit in a briefcase.
Yeah.
Right. And I still remember, when we had that early on, like, here are the dimensions, and I got a roll of masking tape out, right? And on my workbench in my office, I taped out the footprint, right? Can't go outside of that footprint.
Yeah, big challenge. And, the short barrel rifle thing creates a big delay in delivering a product right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we explored that, short and compact is obviously the way we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because suppressors are turning over so fast right now in approvals,
Yeah.
that's not as big a barrier as it has
Right.
been in the past.
Right.
And so that's where, you just start solving problems, and pretty quick we ended up with this
Right.
integrally suppressed barrel so that we could qualify as a standard length rifle, just over 16-inch barrel with suppression.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the form, our tax stamp forms are coming back in 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Mine came back in less than 2 days.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was. Yeah. Where I've waited up to 13, 15 months even previously.
Yeah, it's been hard keeping up with demand on suppressors.
Yep.
So, do you want to go ahead and do a overview of kind of what the accountants kind of turned into?
Yeah. So, really, really quickly, the parameters were it needed to be compact, needed to fit within this internal dimension, which was 17.5 inches, right? So there's a key dimension, 12.75 inches, your depth, and then 3 inches deep. So that was kind of the what we had spec'd out, right? And that and in the end is our packaging, right? So a leather briefcase completely containing a weapon system. So that was the size. Must have reasonable distance performance, and we set that at 500 yards. Very, capable distance, yet having to fit in a briefcase.
Yeah, with we had experience with short-barreled rifle stuff in the past, and they just don't want to perform the same as big rifles. You get bigger extreme spreads, you get, more inconsistent performance and group size, and that just the nature of that starts shortening up that distance. The loss of velocity, it's huge.
Yeah, and effective. So the barrel itself's approximately 17.5 inches, right? That's my number. And when you take into account the suppression, that baffle stack internally, so it is a fully machined barrel with a 6-inch baffle stack, you start to get into that 11.5 inch effective barrel life.
Yeah.
So really short. The challenge there was met with partner federal custom shop offered up their services to build custom ammo that would perform in this barrel configuration. So we right away sent them a test platform so they could start.
Yeah, I've been dying to do a project with those guys in the custom shop. We're kind of straddling the space of, manufacturing at scale.
Yes.
At the same time, trying to maintain this bespoke, custom, small one-on-one type behavior. And it's really, really hard to do. And I've always been intrigued. Well, here you have Federal that's just this massive ammunition manufacturing company.
Right.
And then they have this custom shop set up where they're single stage loading ammo. And to me, it's just such an intriguing program to have that mix all the way at that other end of the spectrum.
I know, and I almost feel guilty because I'm well aware of the labor that goes into loading ammo, custom ammo, if you will, and then taxing them with the burden to produce all this ammo out of their custom shop.
Yeah, so we're and the way we set this up is we are supplying 100 rounds with the gun.
Yes.
And then obviously you can talk about the chambering and cartridge and all that, but the idea is that if the customer wants to resupply, then they're going to be able to participate in that custom shop, customer experience.
Yeah,
so
which is super cool. They got their own part number. It's already set up, and they can call and get orders in the future for their ammo. Speaking of which, that the cartridge 308 Winchester, and there's a reason for that. There's a couple of reasons for it. First off, it's readily available, right? You can buy ammo for the 308. It's not going anywhere. It's readily available. Secondly, short barrel performance, right? We needed to get that 500 yard threshold. So, we need a bullet with decent BC. We need to drive it as fast as we can consistently in a really short barrel, and then it needs to be accurate, right? So all of those things, and they spun it up. We didn't give them they got the test platform, and we gave them our goals, and they produced test ammo and met those goals. They utilized their 175 grain terminal ascent bullet with pretty nice BC, and
the nice thing about being able to use that bullet is it's a very high performing terminal bullet.
Yeah,
and they've got that thing set up to initiate expansion in the low teens for feet per second. So it's perfectly suited for this.
Yeah,
as long as you can get that initial expansion, so it'll shoulder stabilize, you'll get straight penetration through. And because it's got that solid shank in the back, like you're gonna get penetration. So I can just picture, I can picture bullet exits and good blood trails. With that.
Yeah. So that was pretty exciting. And so there's your caliber, your configuration, suppression. We leveraged SWS down in Texas to machine. So we sent them our barrels, right, and full dimension, full diameter barrel blanks, and they machine all of the suppression built right into the barrel.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool process. Now we use those guys for a little history. We use those guys on the Lightsaber.
Right.
We did that XLR magnesium chassis and then that barrel system, and it made a pretty cool combination.
Yeah. And we could have done a screw-on suppressor and went down that path, but our in keeping with our sort of goal of keeping this as easy as possible, less things to have to assemble.
Yeah, well, and avoiding the short barrel.
And avoiding the SBR scenario, because then you'd had to have at least a 16-inch barrel. We also said we wanted to have this thing fully to be able to assemble fully in the field, right? So wherever the field is, 5 minutes without, a barrel vise or any of these things. So, having to just screw the barrel on and torque it down and go. So yeah, that was so SWS barrels did the barrel work for us, and pretty excited. To accomplish our goal of assembly and field assembly, we used this West Texas Ordnance switch lug, right? And that gets pinned to the front of the receiver, right? So it gets fixed in place, and then that allows us to hand tighten this barrel. So we hand tighten it up against the shoulder, and then we have a single tool. So would be nice if it was completely toolless. That's not realistic in current form, but a single T-handle that's got a built-in torque limiter, and
there's a fix-it sticks right there.
Sticks, yep, with a T25 Torx head. So it's consistent torque, and then you're ready to go.
So I'm a big fan of understanding, how different aspects of a rifle system work, the engineering behind it, so to speak. And the West Texas Ordnance switch lug, I've never really been like this a giant fan of the mechanism, because the way 60-degree V threads work, you just can't get it tight enough that it keeps the joint together. But we tested it, and it passed our precision goals. And so even though something's not the ultimate way to do it, because like there's another product out there that American Rifle Company made that did the same thing, but it worked on a different principle, which was a lot more sound from an engineering standpoint, but it's a lot more complex in the part. And the thing to understand sometimes is, it might not be the perfect system, but if it meets the goals, especially that ease of assembly, because it is so simple to just do that one torque and be done.
Yep. Completely done.
Yeah. Has anybody timed an assembly on one?
No, but I'm confident I can do it in less than 5 minutes. Right.
Open the briefcase, everything assembled, ready to shoot, less than 5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And realistically, and we also, so we built in, we use these LaRue Tactical quick detach rings for the scope, because when we set out down this plan was we thought we might need the real estate for the scope.
Yeah.
Right. So it does have detach, and the scope can come off, and has,
which those things are they are the ultimate detach.
They are the ultimate detach rings. And so this package does come with those, but we leave the scope on because it fits in the packaging the way it works, and it has one less thing we have to take on and off for assembly. Didn't change the functionality actually, but you can take the scope off very easily
and repeat it. Yeah. What's that leave us? Just JTAC on a chassis.
Yeah.
Which these are the guys that I came across that got me excited about doing this from the beginning.
Yeah.
And if you back up and look at the history of the Skunkwerks projects, in a lot of cases there is an example of us going and finding a smaller shop that's got, they've got a great reputation, but they just don't have a lot of reach in our space, for their products. And I think this is a good example of one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Great little shop, great to work with.
Wonderful.
Just really delivered for us. And
oh yeah.
And I think has a great reputation in his circle that he reaches, and for us to be able to do a collaboration where we can bring these other brands together, and build some more reach and awareness for them. I think it's a side part of what Skunkwerks has been able to do in a lot of our projects.
I think absolutely, it's a synergistic thing where we're able to take all of these components and put them together to reach some end goal. Cody down at JTAC he was great. When we started discussions and I talked to him about what we're trying to do, and we had lots of different parts, and he was able to customize for us and modify it and make it to our performance liking. So that was wonderful.
With quick turn, small shop, owner can do.
Yes.
Right. So it's like short circuits.
Understood.
A lot of the tape that you run into with a big.
Oh yeah. And even prior, I mean, when we started, we had drawings and all the things, that we needed up front for the planning, and
you think about it though, every single one of the guys that participated in this, from the small shops all the way up to the big Federals and Leopolds, all of them had to roll up their sleeves.
Yes.
And do something outside of their normal course of business to be able to get this project done because of the instigation. I liked the word that you used there, and the timeline that we had set for this thing.
It was very aggressive, right? And LaRue Tactical had to create a new part. They didn't even have rings that would work for this project, but they were able to spool up very quickly and create the ring with the height that we needed.
Yeah.
The Eric down at SWS was able to get a fixture and pin the actions and install the lugs and machine all the barrels. And so, everybody had kind of their thing. And
I like that. I like that. And I like the idea of a lot of these projects are, collaborations with a lot of different brands. There's sometimes it's the cut where that was all Gunwerks plus a Leopold scope. They worked with us on that one and kind of customized a scope. They took that VX6 and pulled the illumination out of it so we could cut just another ounce and a half or two out of the scope. But I like it when we're able to do a project like that with brands and collaborate, and not just on the product side, but also on like the marketing and story side.
Yeah.
Leopold picked that up and wrote a blog article on it and shared some content through their channels, and a few other places have. that video that we did on the launch is
Cool.
it is, and it's the most shared piece of content we've made in 2 decades. The most shared piece of content of all time for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I'm going to talk about, I think that's really cool is the story behind it, and then the marketing and the assets and the creation of go to market was really cool. The storytelling I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of people at these cool brands that were willing to jump in short term and figure it out with us. Yeah. So that was really, really cool for me to see and experience.
Yeah, it's appreciated.
Yeah. So yeah, the challenge that we had to overcome, overall barrel length, for sure. Foam, here's a good one. and I think it's kind of important for folks to hear. I started out with the platform and tape on the desk, and then it gets into like we got to have foam cut, designed specifically for this one-off project, and that was something new for me. How do we get that? What kind of foam even? And so,
yeah, and you could be honest. You can tell everybody what it's like working with me on a project.
Let's just say it has to be right. And sometimes the standard's different than what yeah. The discovery there was that even understanding the types of foams, learning for me, I had no idea the degrees of foam and
we had to go back to an old foam supplier, Victory Foam, to get this done.
Yeah.
And a different type of foam that's a little bit higher end.
Yeah, and cut with water jet or something. Something
cool.
Obscure. Yeah. So that was a learning. The shootability and with JTAC helping us with a bag rider. So the challenges of a really compact, weapon system is, first off, the fore end's very short, right? So shoot it off of a bipod or whatever mechanism.
It's different.
Yeah, could be even a tripod. But putting a bag rider, building in that bag rider, and Cody was great. He was like, I've been wanting to do that.
Yeah,
I just needed motivation.
He sent us a sample, and we put a gun together, and we went and shot it. And Derek and I were in the tunnel, and shot it, and I'm like, ooh, I don't like this.
It's very difficult
because it was hard to get that bag support. And usually with something that's real short, you plan on squeeze bagging it.
Yeah.
So we're running our lightweight Gunwerks rear bag.
Yeah.
And it was just the bottom of the recoil pad.
Oh,
was essentially what it was.
Yeah, it was very low profile.
And when that stocks collapsed all the way, there was this little gap. And the ask was, hey, Cody, can you go fill this up with a bag rider? He did it, and it changes.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. And so we had already picked out the grip, so we knew how much room he had, and it was like, it fit perfect.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then having Federal they were willing, because first off, we're running ammunition here. We make our own ammunition, and we're full tilt boogie.
But we don't load 308.
We do not load 308, and we do not have the capacity or resources to spool up right now. And it was like, hunting season's coming. People want ammo. Them being able to jump in, take the test gun, shoot it at their facility.
Well, and it's not just get a load that shoots good.
Yeah.
I think the real challenge was getting a powder in there to maximize the amount of energy creation and velocity that we could get in 11.5 inches.
Yeah.
That's gonna kill it for a hunting round if we can't get any speed out of it.
Right.
And I think a big part of that was going up just a little on bullet weight. Running a 308 with a bigger base diameter on the bullet takes the pressure that you're creating in your chamber, and it converts it into more force. And so there's one of the reasons why we picked that cartridge, is so we could get a greater force multiplication for the pressure that we're creating on that bullet, to make more energy, to get more downrange performance.
Right.
And those guys are so set up to be able to optimize it. They've got their powder selections, they've got their lab equipment, and they went in and did this and created the most energy dense, but within specification load for this 308 that we could possibly do.
Yes. Yeah. And so that was a big feat for us. And then, and then I already talked to the rings and having to get LaRue on board for that. I think that where it really started to come together. So, it starts out for me as like a project and start with a brief and then kind of build out all the things that you need to do and accomplish. And gosh, I remember when the first one, we had our test gun for sure, but when the first one complete, and we got it and I'm shooting it and everybody around the building, they're like, wow, right? That energy, they're like, that is so cool. Yeah. That was kind of the moment for me because I was kind of deep in the details, but the response that people get or the reaction that you get from people when they see it and they kind of feel it and they're like, just, it has a wow factor to it.
So we decided it had to fit in a briefcase to start with. And there was this little time in the middle where it was like, do we really want to put it in a briefcase or not? And, we stuck to our guns and we did that. Mm-hmm. Then it's time for all the hard things, which is the naming and the marketing.
Yes. Yeah.
The taglines and and the hook for how you're going to tell this story.
Oh yeah.
And make it fun. I mean, we launched one of our Skunkwerks projects. It was called the Blaster.
Yeah.
And we built it because we needed a pistol.
Yeah.
We had some guys that were killing some big stuff. They needed a pistol. And so we wanted to build a pistol, but at the same time, we wanted to take advantage of a few loopholes on, arm braces and a few things like that existed at the time. And so we built that product. We launched it on May 4th. So the launch came up on May 4th. And so we had that gun. So as we were getting to the end and it's time to name it and put the marketing campaign together for it, we launched it on May the 4th. We put a Star Wars spin on it. That's how it got the name The Blaster. And I just remember one image, one of the gals that was doing graphics, she stole like a Han Solo image, where he's got his gun like this, cut his face off, stuck my face on it.
Oh, nice.
And that was part of that. That was part of the launch assets.
Oh, wow.
It was we had so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the same thing that we did here with the accountant.
Yeah.
Was, just to bring something fun into it. I mean,
absolutely.
Nobody's going to go get in a helicopter and fly around with a briefcase, right? I mean, we were just having fun.
Yeah, we're having fun, and I think the so first off, I'm not a marketing guy, and I didn't stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night, and so we got really good people that were able to kind of, I give them the brief, understand kind of the platform, and come up with a really cool story. And the hype video is just,
it was fun.
It was,
Well, I think the hook of the accountant, and then we got Derek, my son Derek, got involved in this, and he loves Skunkwerks projects, and then he roped in Jason Monroe, who is a guy that we've known forever. He works in the industry. He's connected to a lot of different brands, and picked him up to come help shoot some things.
Yeah,
and a few other video projects we were doing, but like that kind of steamrolled into this concept. With the adding machine and the name and the tagline that we built, and then the shots. A few of those shots are absolutely epic shots.
Yeah.
Renting little lenses to do specialized shots, and everybody had a lot of fun. That participated in this.
Yeah. Yeah. So that when I first saw the first cut of the video, it was like, man, that is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was teasing those guys, Derek and Jason, about, man, why didn't we make a little mini story on every one of those environments? Like we had the guy in the Audi R8, right? The guy sitting at the desk, the guy jumping on the helicopter. Those all should have been, 1 minute mini stories that we used to add on.
Yeah.
And so we learned, and we'll take that into the next project.
And it's very raw in how these things come together, right?
Yeah.
It's like literally, marketing guy Jason, he comes and says, I need a car. I need a cool car. And a buddy of mine, really close to Bozeman and access to Jason, who was flying out, has this really cool R8, mid-engine V10, just what a baller of a car, right? And of course he absolutely, incorporated that into the photos, and but really kind of like
like the customer, the whole helicopter thing.
Yeah,
we didn't just go get a helicopter.
No,
a customer flew down to pick up some guns.
Sure.
And while he was here, we just piggybacked a quick photo shoot on top of that.
Right. Yeah, but it's cool because you just kind of pull it all together and you're brainstorming, and it just when you see it at the end, you're like, wow, we just did that.
Yeah, it's fun. So maybe a little business about Skunkwerks. Almost always we've got a launch quantity.
Yeah.
And then there's a little overrun potential, but there's a very small selling window.
Yes.
And then they're done.
Right.
And it's funny how much pressure there is after the fact.
Yes.
Like years after, it's like, hey, I want one of those. Can you put one together for me? And we can't do it.
Well, it's the window was narrow, right? We spooled up this build, this project, but our focus, right, and our core is long range hunting. And we have a lot of work to do to deliver the best long range hunting rifles. And without all these partners, there's no way we could even do this.
Yeah.
So, with that said, it's like we gotta maintain a little bit of discipline.
Focus on our core.
Yeah. And so yes, we have a number, and hopefully this podcast gets published very quickly, because we could be sold out completely. Our allocation might be completely done.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah.
And so the idea is when there is a Skunkwerks that does kind of resonate.
Yes.
Right in with something that you want to do, it's like act on it.
Yeah.
And take advantage of it, because it is limited.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And the consumer response has been overwhelming, right? So me being new to the whole Skunkwerks vibe, and having this cool project, and being wildly successful, that people are excited and responsive to the message.
I will tell you how cool this is when you do this project and you let your sales team kind of let their inner circle know that we have a Skunkwerks project.
Yeah.
But you can't show them any pictures of it. You don't get to really tell them about it much. It's just kind of directionally what it looks like. And essentially sell out that initial production run before we even officially launch the product.
Yeah.
Like the customers are hungry for
something
these
cool,
unique builds.
Yeah.
And absolutely. It's
crazy.
It is a big success for us.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And it helps. It's affirmational. Like we're doing something and people are like, this is cool.
Yeah. Well, it's fun too. And I like to push people. This was a little push on you, and it gave you a little taste of the chaos of product development in Gunwerks, rather than a big mature company. So I think everything that you get out of it, from like the marketing chops, like we've improved.
Yeah.
Like all the team that participated in this, they got a lot out of this.
Yes.
And the next one will be better and better. The engineering side, just showing you a few tidbits about sourcing on the foam versus, hunter versus an engineering lift. That was a case where we tried to keep this off of their plate as much as we could, but that was a case where absolutely we had to have their support and, to kind of understand where those resources are and what levers we can pull to get a project done. I think everybody learned something out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited to see kind of what we come up with next. And
Yeah, you're responsible for the next idea.
yeah, it's
You get one freebie, and then after that, it's on you.
That's right. This one was not my idea, and I'm thankful to have been able to kind of run with it and pull it together,
Make it your project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I am, I enjoy firearms, a lot of them, and lots of different kinds, and this is a really cool firearm.
Yeah.
The Accountant, look it up.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we cover everything you wanted to?
Yeah, I think it was great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for inviting me to talk about it. I'm pretty passionate about Skunkwerks in general and what it means for our teams and our business and our customers. And I think it's just a really cool thing that we've got going that I think has inspired a lot of other companies to do similar kind of activities. So, I think it elevates the entire industry, whether you participate in a purchase or not.
Yeah. No, I think it absolutely stretches the boundaries, and that's what it's about. Like pushing, what could it be?
Cool. Well, thanks for inviting me. If you like what you're hearing here, please take a second and give us a 5-star rating and a positive review on iTunes or on your favorite podcast app. We appreciate your feedback and suggestions for topics you'd like discussed or questions you want answered on the podcast. You can reach out on Facebook or Instagram or send us an email to podcast@gunwerks.com. Also, be sure and check out our full offering of long-range gear at gunwerks.com. Use promo code LRP for free shipping on any order.